Hello. Anybody have any back pain recently? What about you? How's your pain level? Any places in your body painful right now? Thought about seeing a doctor for that? I've been learning about and reflecting again this truth that the mind and the body are intimately connected. And like this is well researched. It's like decades and decades of data going into like, oh, it turns out your mindset, your emotional states, your psychology shapes your biology and vice versa. There's an interplay. It's a dynamic, right? Expression of your entire existence. Your biology and psychology are one expression of your life. And so I've thought about this example over and over, but I will never forget. I was barely, I couldn't get sober. I was fueled by just sort of an unrelenting dissatisfaction over my life. I was like late 20s and I had all this lower back pain, crippling lower back pain. I would try to go for a run and then my back would like, I would call it go out. It was like ding, and I'd be like, oh, and I'd be in bed for like that day, icing heat, and then hobble my ass around for weeks, not being able to stand up straight. And I went and eventually, like, as one does, it's like I'm looking for solutions. I went and saw a chiropractor, and this chiropractor was special. There are healers in the world. And if you're a skeptic and you're like me, so often like, yeah, no, can't go, right? Whatever. Like, you can, with gentleness, sort of release some of that resistance because there are healers in the world, and people's bodies heal and transform all the time, every day, right? And this chiropractor who was growing in their intuitive sense of the body and healing, she was newer in her career, and she was like, oh my gosh, all your anger is in your lower back. And it struck me like a moment of intuitive clarity. It was true. All of my anger was in my lower back, and I had never put an emotional label to my physical pain. And sort of looking back on it, it's like that's sort of, I would, you know, believed myself to be relatively intelligent, to be attentive, to be doing the work of attention, and that's what I titled this Facebook Live, was like the work of attention. And I've been thinking about how much do I really attend and do the work of attention to locate my physical body and my physical pain within the context of my life and my emotional and mental states. Did you track everything that I communicated there? Our biology and our mindset, our biology and our psychology are connected. And the pain that you're having right now in your body can communicate messaging about spiritual or emotional or mental pain and trauma that is left unresolved. And that stuff resides in our bodies, right? There was just this story I was reading about um, a boy who had taken a job out of town, and he had chronic fatigue. Just like gone to the doctor over and over. The doctor's like, "Well, I don't know. What's going on? Chronic fatigue." Start just putting band-aids. Like, doctors have like one toolkit, and it's like address the physiological symptoms. They are not trained to address the underlying causes and conditions, psychological and spiritual, of our physiological pain, right? So a doctor does what a doctor does. Some of them are getting more skilled nowadays, but and I'm not saying like doctors are amazing, and but did what gave him the medicine, but it never solved this chronic fatigue. And he eventually went and saw a healer who wasn't practicing quote unquote psychotherapy. She was doing, I forget how she described her modality of therapeutics. It was like a somatic, psychosomatic therapy. But what she was and was it in an intuitive, like she could read someone's body and tell them like, oh, you have lower back pain because you have financial insecurity about being a victim with finances. Like she could just like, oh my God, wow. She had this intuitive ability to diagnose the links between your physical body and the sort of the metaphorical or symbolic relationship to their psychology. And this individual went and saw her about his chronic fatigue, and she immediately got an impression of like, oh my gosh, your legs are weak. And symbolically, legs and this sort of the lower sort of rooted chakras part of the body are related to home and a tribal sort of sense of loyalty and connectedness. And um and so and he was like, she was like, are you, do you miss home? And sort of just a shot, like, I wonder. And he was like, I am so missing my home. Like my family needs me. I didn't even want to take this job, like, but I took it because I felt like it was the next right thing. And it was like this subtle, gentle suggestion, like, I think you might be, your body needs to go home. Like that's why you're having all. He 2 weeks later quits his job, goes back home. His fatigue within a matter of days dissipates, right? He feels strong, rooted. And it was sort of just like this, oh my gosh, our ability to attend, to pay attention to the messages and communications that our bodies are giving us is a skill set that we can practice. And it truly is the work of love. And I think this is what I've just been reading. I read multiple things consistently, and one of the books that I'm reading, and I'm always sort of like exploring, is The Road Less Traveled, and he's talking about the work of attention, which is what I titled this. And he's not explicitly putting it in the context of paying attention to your body, but what he says is that it's, paying attention is always like an expenditure of work, an expenditure of energy. It goes against inertia. I have to work to pay attention. And love is primarily extended in the work of attention, which is just this beautiful meditation of like, when I truly love myself or someone else, I am lending my attention. When I truly love God, I am lending my attention to God, to the presence of love. That needs to be happening both for myself and for others. Actually, it's the highest expression of what I can, of the work that I can do around here, right? Is lend my attention to love someone for the sake of their spiritual growth, is what he says. And I was thinking about reading a little section. But when we do the work of love, of attending to something, it is a deeply, what does he say? A deep value, of great worth. And so we need to be, I need to be paying attention to the messages that my body is communicating and developing skills around interpreting that symbolically so that I can see how to effectively approach life to remedy my pain, to create the disciplines around solving my problems. It's the only decent way to be, right? Um, I think that's what I want to communicate. So if you're experiencing like intense chronic lower back problem, attend to that, not just with your doctor, right? But the symbolic relationship that has as that pain speaks to your the narratives and identities that you hold dear. It might require letting go of some of those ideas about who you are, doing some self-reflective therapeutic journaling, and communicating with your cohort, with your therapist, with your pastor, with a coach like myself, bringing into the light what you're working with. So if you haven't heard it yet today, you are loved. And do the work of paying attention to your body and the links between your biology, your physical body, and your psychology, or the spiritual, emotional, and mental connections to your physical expression of self.